Okay, time is 8 o'clock. Let us start today's lecture with an invocation. Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Ganana Tva Ganapatigam Havamahe Kavin Kavina Mupamasravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspada Ana Shrunvanyu Tibisi Dasadanam Om Sri Mahaganapataye Namaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vaje Eber Vajini Evadi Dhinama Vitriyavadu Om Sri Mahasaraswati Namaha Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Bushti Vardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshi Mamruta Ad Triambaga Martinjya Devataye Namo Namaha Idam Vishnur Vijakrame Tredanidate Padam Samodamasya Pagam Surem Krishna 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 Om Bhurbhuvassuvarom Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so we are on to lecture number 10. Today is November 28. We are going to the practical aspects of what we can do to get started on the Vedic understanding, on the divinization. Divinize the life. That is the whole message of Veda. You can do whatever you want to do. You don't have to be 24/7 thinking about God. It does not say that. That is the beauty of the message of Vedas. You can pursue whatever interest that you have. Only few things. I will come back to all those things in that one. I don't want to say everything, but I will briefly say the emphasis on Satyam and Rhythm. Satyam tapas shraddhayam juhomi. Many mantras that we have to chant every day. Repeatedly it says also, the Veda mantras also say that. Rigveda says that Satyam, every god is stated, they are all powers of truth. So they are all showing you, by inviting them, we can become more truthful and divinize. That is the thing. But the whole idea of Veda is Yanya. That is I want to start by saying there is plus and there is minus, because life itself is a Yanya. That is what Veda says. But before I get started into Yanya, so from these three classes, we will discuss whatever Veda has said 6,000 years ago, that is 6,000 years or earlier, BC or earlier, which is 8,000. So 8 to 10,000 years ago, these Vedic mantras, Vedic Samhitas, which about 5,000 years ago, 3,000 BCE, around that time, Vedavyas are classified into 4 Vedas. So we have at least 5,000 plus years. We have these 4 Vedas in our form. Before we get into what is said in the Veda and what we are practicing now, why it is called as devoid of wisdom, how we got the message, all that we have studied. Now we want to see, now that we know the accurate message, the authentic message from the Veda, how to follow that. So before I go to do that, I had a couple of questions again sent to me by text messages. My close friends and my relatives sent message about this. When I said about the Panchang, it starting with Panchang, look at what is today. So the Panchangam says, Panja Anga, 5 components, 5 parts to that one. What are the 5 parts? First is the day. Today is Sunday. We still use the English terminology, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and all that. But I want all of you to learn the Sanskrit word, because it tells you which Deva is connected with that one. Today is called Bhanu, Bhanuvar, sun. Bhanu, Mitra Ravi, Surya Bhanu, Khagabhusha, Hiranyagarbha Mariji, Aditya Sarudra, Arka Bhaskara. There are 12 names for him. Of course, additional names also. He's Sabida, the creator, the Gayatri Mantra and all that. So first is the date, the day, Bhanuvar. Monday is Monday is Somavar. Tuesday is Mangalavar. Wednesday is Saumyavar or Budhavar. Thursday is Guruvar, Guru, Brihaspati, Jupiter. Friday is Briguvar, Venus. Then Saturday is Sthiravar. Sthira means that planet Saturn moves the slowest. Every planet rotates around the sun. Earth rotates, the Guru, Jupiter rotates every year, and sun takes 2.5 years. So it goes. So Shanehi Charadi, Shaneshchara, he has a name, Shaneshchara. So first is the day, next is the nakshatra. And we said the 27 nakshatras. Then Tithi, the new moon, the full moon, 15 days each. Waning, waxing, and waning of the moon, all these, So that is the second. And what was the fourth and fifth? So I said only, I emphasized only this. The fourth is called the yoga, and fifth is called the karana. So these five, the day, the nakshatra, the tithi, the yoga, and karana, every instant will be uniquely defined by these five aspects. That is the calculation of our ancient people. So, but the yoga and karana, there are 27 yogas and about 11 karanas. All those are needed only if you want to create a chart, a birth chart or a horoscope for a baby born sometime during this day. Then you also know the yoga, karana, it's part of astrology. So that is not frequently discussed. So that was the 5 items that I wanted to leave it at that. Now there is this 27 nakshatras. There is a story about this moon that that we have all heard as children. That is, moon has 27 wives. Moon married the Daksha Prajapati's daughters. Daksha Prajapati is one of the earliest creator, Daksha, the Dakshayagam, his fight with his father-in-law Shiva, all those things. We don't want to go into the story. But this King Daksha had 27 daughters. And that moon married these 27 daughters. Then the word got around to King Daksha that moon is preferring one of the 27 daughters more than the rest of them. Either the rest of them complained or Daksha got word. Hey, how is it possible? I have told him strictly that he has to treat all of them equally, and he is favoring Rohini. So this story we have heard a long time, and 2 or 3 years ago, 2018, a scientist at University of Texas at Austin by name Dr. Raj Vedam gave a TED talk discussing this. And it is available in the YouTube. You can go and see it. But I wanted to leave it at this because I want to make a larger point using this. So, I had looked at it, I heard it at that time. Yeah, that makes it interesting. So our ancients are much, you have to give credit to them a lot more for having developed this story that moon prefers Rohini star more, one of the 27 daughters more. You see, the 27 wives come from that every day rotating around the earth, it takes 27 days. So each day he will be in nakshatra, the lunar mansion. In fact, nakshatra, English word is called as lunar mansion. So he will be in that on that day, then second, third, and all that 27 days. So he prefers Rohini more. That is the story we have heard at that time. This 2018 TED Talk, Dr. Raj Vedam, faculty member at University of Texas, gave the explanation behind this. And it goes as follows. All these things rotate around the earth, around a great circle known as ecliptic. Earth is, its axis is inclined at 23.5 degrees. So this is more like the celestial equator types around that. That is called the ecliptic. Some people say from the equator about 8 degrees on either side. That broad band is called ecliptic. But this, most of the, all the planets and things go around this ecliptic. And our ancients noted, first of all, they noted that moon rises at different times on the day. It is not like sun rising every day at 6 o'clock. Moon rises at different days due to its waxing and waning, right? We all know that. So he rises at different days, they noted. And not only that, the ancients noted that it takes 27 days for the, and they looked at the sky behind. For the moon to come back to the same place, it takes 27 days. 27 days. So they called, so they took this whole circle, divided by 27, that is the 13.33 degrees in which each nakshatra, and 2.25 nakshatra becomes 30 degrees, one rashi. That all goes into astrology. Now, I will stay with these 27 nakshatras. And they found, the other thing they found also is that as the moon goes around this, moon completely encloses some stars, but some other stars it does not completely enclose as it goes. And they found out that if the star is within 4 to 6 degrees of the ecliptic, the imaginary great circle around the globe, along which all the planets are rotating, or a few degrees from that circle, that's the ecliptic. So moon on his, some stars he completely closes, some stars they are open or he goes near, even though he's associated with the star on that particular day, he will not be completely closing it. So they found out which stars it closes, and they found that as long as the star, moon goes within this 4 to 6 degrees, star is within falling in that area behind, that star, it completely encloses. And there is a technical term in astrology for this called moon occultation. And the ancients found out that in a 4-year period, moon completely covers certain stars and goes only near certain other stars. And this 4-year scenario repeats every 19 years. 19 years is the metonic cycle. That is another story behind that I will say if I get time in one of the remaining 2 lectures. If you have noticed, those who celebrate birthdays based on star or tithi, you will find your date of birth, the 365 days based calendar, the Gregorian calendar that we follow, the date of birth, English date of birth, or whatever Malayalam calendar, if it uses 365 days, and your star birthday will coincide every 19 years. That's a metonic cycle. I will tell you, if I get time in the remaining 2 lectures, I will try to explain where is this, how is this 19 came about. But so they found out that every 4 years, certain stars, the moon completely covers, certain other stars, moon goes by or half covers and all those things. Though our ancients have observed all this, this Dr. Rajvedan says that you can observe them by stepping out naked eye. You don't need any special equipment and all that. Anyway, I'm not looking at the stars person, so I haven't done it. But he said that in the TED talk, and Dr. Rajvedan furthermore said that in a 4-year period from 2015 to 2018, he counted the number of times moon occulted moon completely covered Rohini was 49. Compared to few other stars, he completely occulted much smaller number, and some other stars it did not completely it was occult at all. It goes nearby or half covers and all that. So Dr. Rajvedam says that our ancients have observed this, and they wanted to say, communicate this information, this scientific information, that there is moon has this occultation, and this occultation, some stars it occurs more, and Rohini, and that is the, he also said the Arabic name for this Aldebaran. The Aldebaran star is Rohini, and in a 4-year period, Dr. Rajvedam counted 49 occultations of star Rohini, and that is what the ancients wanted to communicate to succeeding generation. Saying all this to small children will not make sense. That occultation, moon occultation, even to adults it may or may not make sense, but certainly not for children. So they created the story that moon spends more time with Rohini or moon prefers Rohini. That is the story. Why I brought this story? So first of all, this was recently sent again. I had totally forgotten about this. One of our attendees, Chandra Melody, send this via text messages. So he sent that to me. Then I suddenly got reminded. And since I was discussing about this Panchag and moon and all that thing, so the story of moon having 27 wives, why moon likes Rohini more than the other 26 wives, all that coming. Why I brought this, this as, I thank Chandra Melody for sending it to me, and that reminded me of this earlier TED talk that I have seen, and I have followed all that time, but totally I have forgotten to bring it in this context. This his sending was a reminder to me. But I brought this today for another reason, because the whole Yajna, which is so central to our Vedas, it is considered as ritual. It doesn't mean anything, because the equivalent of this, what we do today, the homa or havans, there will be you have a priest tell you to put this samit over there, you put this ghee out this, when he says, he chants some mantras, and people do not understand. So they all together, all of them together have completed, these are all just rituals, this doesn't make sense and all that. So no, just like there is another incident about this Ganesha, we try to do the Topakarnam, put your hand on the ears and then do namaskar to Ganesh. That has a scientific basis that expands your brain cells and thinking and all that. That was found out about 10 or 15 years ago at MIT or Harvard. So similarly, every one of those things you will find, none of them is, our ancients were very observant and scientifically have understood all this, and then they have proceeded all this. So Yajna being such a central aspect of this Vedas, as I explained this Yajna, I wanted to bring this story also. Do not put all these things, everything has a purpose. So that is what we are going to see today. And Yajna, I'll look at, there is inner Yajna, outer Yajna. Now, what we do additionally is we do havans or homa. We also have worship. We chant, we do japa, we do puja, we go to temple. So I want to connect all these things, how over the years we changed all this, how we got it. So today's topic is going to separate, I'll try to separate all these into what is a definition of Yajna, what is inner Yajna, what is outer Yajna. Then I will move on to present day yagas, homas. Then I will try to talk about the samskaras, the Shodasha samskaras of the 40 samskaras, and our Puranic study and the Japa Puja worship at the present, and I'll try to conclude all this. If all of them does not get covered in this class, I will put the rest of them into the next class. So first, of course, what is Yajna? I very briefly in the original lecture, as I was giving the overview, I said Yajna has come from two Ya and Nya. Ya means striving for, Nya means knowledge. So Yajna, the word Yajna, of course, some people also connected Yajna has come from huge and all those things. So many ways, Sanskrit words can be given meanings in so many ways. So that also may be fine, but the correct meaning for Yajna also is Ya means striving for, and Nya for knowledge. Striving for knowledge. So what is the knowledge that we are striving for? And if you are to summarize the Vedic message in one sentence, it is that we live in this earth, which has truth and falsehood. And because we live in truth and falsehood, we are subjected to death. So the ancients thought about how can you get past death? How can you not be subject to death? And they said, simple. Remove. We know people who don't have death, who are immortal. Who are they? They are the Devas. Devas sit in the Paramevyoman. They are in the truth plane. They are completely truth. They are defined. Div. Div means to shine. They are called Deva. The Sanskrit is the translation to God. That this whole English has completely destroyed what Sanskrit wanted to say. Sanskrit only wants to say Deva. They are powers of light. And then they call it Upadeva. What is if they have not reached the Deva status? So Upa, they can add many prefix and suffix, and Sanskrit can communicate what exactly they want to communicate and all that. So Deva, they are powers of light. So for all of us to get past death, not subject to death, there is only, once you say that you are living in a, we all think we are all truthful, right? Maybe so. As long as what I say is truth, then that is, I'm a truthful person. But what is the absolute truth? What is the relative truth when you go to and all that? And sometimes we are human beings, either to cut corners, what we consider as some slight advantage, or for to avoid some embarrassment. We may say, hey, what does this mild lie? That is not going to cause anyone. No, when we utter a lie, we are taking this what we call Papa stone and putting in our pocket. Sometimes to help protect our friends, that friend doesn't feel bad. So I made a minor lie to him so that he felt happy. What is it? No, he may have felt happy by whatever untruthful statement said and all that, but if he finds out that it was untruthful, he will feel bad also at that time. But assume that he doesn't find out and he or she feels happy. That is not the end of the story. The person, to make my friend happy if I say the lie. But it says there are conditions and all that, but you cannot say by truth, but you cannot say apriyam. Satyam apriyam na bruyat. If it is truth, and you will have to find some diplomatic way to not answer that question, rather than say the truth and make the other person feel very bad, or say untruth, make him feel. None of them is recommended. So anyway, subject to truth and false, as long as we live in an environment of truth and falsehood, we are subject to death. So if we want to get past death, we have got to live in a only truth environment. Where is that environment? we all saw that. That is why we passed all this theory. Now, how to implement that? So the implementation, what they have said is divinize only by inviting devas to yourself. Only by inviting. So divinization. So all this. And that is yajna. So the striving for knowledge. The definition of yajna is striving for knowledge. What is that knowledge we are striving for? Stay away from this falsehood. So, two things. One, known instances, whether to make someone else happy or to, that, try to minimize whatever less than truth that we are moving. That is one side. The other side is that the reason we are subject to this falsehood is because of the dasyus. I don't want to get into the theory. Now it is all practice in the next 3 classes. So yajna is, I just wanted to say, what is the knowledge we are striving for? The knowledge we are striving for is to get away from our dasyus, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. All these 6 have to be avoided. We all know that, but we are unable to do that. I know I get angry. We all know sometimes we snap, we get angry. Oh, okay. From this moment onwards, I don't want to get angry. We cannot sit in a corner and do meditation. However much we meditate, as long as things go our way, we'll be happy. We'll not be angry. But if it not go our way, then we'll become a snap at that time. So to avoid all that thing, devas have to be invited, and they will fight the dasyus, and they will remove the dasyus from us, and along with devas, we rise into. This is the message of Veda. So yajna is, that is the knowledge we are striving for by conducting a yajna. And we are again going to further define yajna as a sequence of sacred actions undertaken by the yajamana and his wife, and yajamana patni. All yajnas have to be conducted as a husband and wife. The bachelorhood, no yajna is prescribed for him. He has to only study during that time. During grihastha, the married age, they have to do the yajna for themselves and for the raising the children and all those things. So sacred actions to invoke the presence of supraphysical beings. Devas are supraphysical. They don't have a physical form. They have consciousness. They have power, and they have strength, and they can provide that from anywhere to anywhere. What are the sacred actions? Sacred actions are those where you do things with the awareness of the spirit. There is Atman Tadegam is within all of us. We know that, whether we go to Upanishad class and find out Brahman and Atman, Aham Brahmasmi or Tatvamasi and all that, we get it from Upanishad, or simply that is why I say when a person dies, that Atman or soul has left. Sattu boy, chattu boy, in every language, there will be a term to describe this. In Malayalam, chattu boy, that means satta, the essence has left the body. So there is an essence in this. So that is the spirit. So every action we must know, taking account that the spirit permeates every aspect. So spirit in the Veda is denoted by Tadegam. We have seen all that thing. Now, the inner yajna, all Veda mantras, all Vedas contain yajna. Rigveda, even though the popular belief is Yajurveda alone contains yajna. No, Rigveda, Krishna Yajurveda, Shukla Yajurveda, of course, Samaveda, as all mantras are from Rigveda, and Atharva Veda, all Vedas contain yajna, but all of them are inner yajna. Rishis, and they taught to their initiate disciples how to do the meditation, how to do the inner yajna, and with all those things, they ordinary persons, their disciples became rishis, which means they are totally in truth, by divinization worked for them, and they were able to get a mantra revealed to them, and that is how they become rishis. Not by the sons or daughters of a rishi is not a rishi. Every person has to have a mantra revealed to them, then to become the title of rishi. And the inner yajna, and they were all doing inner yajna, and at the end of towards the end of the Vedic period, rishis found out that there are not enough people to, the skilled people are not going to them to continue this life of meditation and getting a mantra revealed to them. So they promoted outer yajna, and that outer yajna is then, after the rishi period, is only outer yajna remains. So the yajna is a collaboration between humans and this devas. The Veda mantras are chanted to invite the deva to you, and you give the best that you have to them back. Of course, the concept, I will come to change when you change it to outer yajna. The inner yajna, you give what you have to the devas, and the devas in return will divinize you. And the inner yajna, like outer yajna, has 4 key aspects. What are the aspects? First, of course, is the Agni, fire altar. And all of us have the Jatara Agni. Everyone has the Agni. That is how we know that person is alive. You feel the person's hand. It is warm, so that there is Agni in all that. And you have to invoke that Agni. Then second is the offering of ghee and water. Even to inner yajna and outer yajna, the steps are very similar. What we offer ghee is gridam, that is our essence that we know, that we want to transfer to the devas, and as that be all our the external Annamaya Kosha and the Pranamaya Kosha, Manamaya Kosha, all 3 together, what they call the subtle body, all that aspects. Of course, Annamaya Kosha is not included in the subtle body, but Pranamaya, Manamaya, and Vijnamaya, all those aspects, the subtle body pieces that contribute to our Panchakosha, that has got to be, we are giving to the devas, and they divinize and bring it back. And the power of mantras. And the joy when we do an action correctly, that is the rasa, soma rasa, that we do, oh, only because of your help, I was able to do it. And you directly communicate. Rishis have given many statements, with your help only I was able to do this. So just like we also say, even in a casual manner, I want to tell you that if you watch the football game or basketball game, when they make an unbelievable shot or when they score a touchdown and all that, you can see those players even saying, hey, someone up there helped me. He is returning his thanks for making him succeed that, even though they are all highly ego-centered and all that. At the moment when they come, they cross, they catch a touchdown and all that, you can see some of them showing their hand up, or whenever they say, so all these things, that satisfaction. Again, you take the case of, in our own case, a musician. He performs for 3 hours and the audience applauds and all that. And he gives that satisfaction, he communicates, gives back to the devas. That is the rasa, soma rasa, but in the external thing. And then there is the mantra. The mantra itself is the way to communicate. So just like the outer yajna, where there is a fire vedi, then there is offerings, ghee or cake and all the things. and then there is chanting of the mantras, and there is a priest to do that. In the inner yajna, the fire is our own fire. So whatever impurities we have, we are trying to remove everything. In other words, lead as sattvic or as a truthful life as we can lead. Then the impurities will not accrue. How does the impurities accrue to us? How does the dasyu stay with us? How does the kama krodha stay with us? Because of the impurities and the coverings that we have and our desire. So we make all these things lesser and lesser and try to lead as best as we can. We are human beings. We are not rishis or devas. So we are human beings. We have our faults. So that is why we invite the devas. They will help us in this process. So this is the inner yajna, the steps. And for everything a person gives from his material possessions, which is from his mortal possession. I have this bad habit that I get angry with my spouse, with my children. Hey, please make me less angry. Please become a kinder, gentler type of person. If that is the request that you say, so this is gay. So the deva will divinize. You invite the deva and say what you want to improve. But it is all to that is why this inner yajna is for the people who are looking for to become moksha or that type of person. So because the whole purpose of the inner yajna is to everyone may want to get past death, but if the rule, the Veda says that getting past death is only by a truthful means. So by truth is the seventh station. Earth station is not there. You have to rise in consciousness levels to get to the seventh station. So that is the devas by divination. Only by collaboration with the devas will we be able to remove the our shadribhus. And Sri Aurobindo uses a very important sentence. The object of this yajna, according to Aurobindo, is to win the higher or divine being. You may ask, hey, that is not why I am doing currently. I will come back to that. But let us first understand what Veda and the Veda mantras and the inner yajna and our rishis have explained in the Vedas and how we adapt it, because we are scholars. I will take you through to that. But let us first understand, because this understanding the yajnas in the Vedas and the inner yajnas is very important, so that we can at least, whether we are able to do it or not, we can aim for that. So that is the reason that I am emphasizing on this. And Aurobindo says that the object of the sacrifice is to win the higher or divine being, the deva. Why is he higher or divine? Because he's truth. So you also can become a deva, and many humans have become devas. Our Angirasa, rishis and all that. The Manishyas have become the devas. How? By becoming truthful, and the realized persons in our own generations, we have heard of those people. All those people, by getting this, Aurobindo says, the object of the yajna, you can even say life is a yajna. So object of yajna can also be translated as object of life is to win the higher or divine being, possess with it, and make our lower or human existence subject to the law of the higher being. See, look how beautifully Aurobindo puts it. You do a yajna and get a little bit of the divine being. Not, whatever you ask after the yajna, the devas are ready to give. You say, hey, it is just say, hey, today I want $10,000. He gives $10,000, goes, hey, you could have gotten more. You could have gotten $100,000, or you could have forgotten about, not about dollars at all. You could have talked about, hey, please give a part of your divinity to me. He will give that also. But we are not inclined to think in that way. That is what we have to do. Again, the story of the Mahabharata, Arjuna and Duryodhana. Duryodhana wanted Krishna's army, whereas Arjuna said, you be with me. So once Devas come, so in the same manner, I'm telling you, we may still continue to do. We are human beings. We have the desires. So we may do, if our priests say, do this yoga homa, yaga or homa, then you will win. You can get this, or your obstacles will be removed and you will succeed in your profession. We will also do that because we are human beings. But you can also, analogous to, again, when I used to teach Upanishad, we used to give the example, a rich man or a foreigner. Let's say we always bring the case of foreigners because local people know what this yogi is. A foreigner who is seeing this yogi without any possession and all that. So this foreigner was asking him, hey, why you are no possession, you are like this? You are given up everything. Why are you leading such a life? Then the saint replied back to him, hello, you have given up the infinite and you went for the finite. I gave up the finite and I have gone for the infinite. So who is the loser in this? So in the same manner, by settling our demands to a smaller value, whatever your immediate success, we are underselling. We can get to the divinity. So that is what the Arvind says. The purpose of a sacrifice is to get the higher or divine being, possess with it. It is not enough in that short moment you communicate with Deva and left it. No, you invite and you keep it and you possess with it and make the lower traits that we have obey the law of the divine. That is the purpose of yajna. And all our actions are in the subtle body of this. No need for external material offerings, but this inner yajna is very hard to perform because, first of all, you have to study Veda mantras. That is the way to communicate with the devas. And then you have to have discipline and you have to lead a Satyendra Stradayam life. You can have all the fun, all the happiness and all that. There is no problem, but only through the dharmic way. So leading such a life, that is why rishis were able to do it only to their initiate disciples. For the commoners who are working in the fields and who are doing other jobs, they promoted the outer yaga. Now this yajna is, the Agni is the person who will do the sacrifice for you on your behalf. It can be your own Agni, or you invite the Agni, they want to do that. And all the, every action is considered as a step into our journey. So that is why the life itself is considered as a yajna. Then yajna is considered also as a battle. By inviting the devas, devas will fight the dasyus, remove the dasyus, and make us more and more truthful. Now, outer yajna. Now, from inner yajna, let's move to outer yajna. The outer yajna also has the same 4 steps. The external fire, we created the Homagunda, then the human priest, instead of the Agni doing the acting as the priest, we have the priests who have studied the Veda mantras and who are ready to help us. They will invite us and they will show that they know how to correctly do the yajna. And as per the Purva Mimamsa Sutras of Jaimini, the correct performance of the yoga, of the yajna, and the correct chanting of the mantras, will provide the benefit from the yajna. And with these benefits, we are able to, whether it is better material prosperity or success in your profession, all those aspects will happen with that. And T.V. Kapali Sastri states that a well-performed outer yajna will yield the results expected by participants. Some want a physical prosperity and happiness. Some others want a progress in their inner development. Both can happen. And so what are the things are they? So now that we are human beings, we are used to perform the outer yajna. Say, for example, we have been told that if you want to remove obstacles in your path, then you have to go do the Ganapati Homa. Then if you have general problems with difficulties in various aspects, then the Navagrahas, planetary has to be the good position to for all success and healthy life. So you do Navagraha Homa, then Sudarsana Homa, then Kubera Homa, then Rudra Homa, various homas there. But in all these things, knowing all these things, how can we start improving on these things? One, we take the correct faith in the mantra and the directions given by the teacher or the priest. Then we also want the pray for the success. While you want your own, our own, we want our own personal success, we must also ask for the success of all others in this effort. We conduct a yajna not only for our success, rather than restricting it or limiting it at our success, we also say, everyone, all in my company, all the friends that I know, all must be able to succeed. A broad-mindedness we must develop along with our current yajna. And what are the current yajnas that we normally do or we must consider doing? Certainly as children, when you are small children, try to perform an Ayushya Homa on the birth date, while cake cutting and friends, that is on one aspect of it. We have got also to to invite the divinity to guide the child, to protect the child from outside negative forces and all those things. So conducting an Ayushya Homa, that is a very important thing that you can consider doing, especially until the child goes to college or some time, and then child is on your own, and child will remember that once a year at least doing a yajna on the birth date is a good way, or visit temple. All those things will come back, but I have to bring you the transition. I just want to briefly say that Ayushya Homa, Ganapati Homa, Rudra Homa, Navagraha Homa, Sudarsana Homa, Dhanvantari Homa, Kubera Homa, or Durga Homa, Saptasati, all these things, then Ishtadevata, or many special yajnas we can do. These are all what we are currently doing. Now, I will tell you what are the yajnas specified in the Vedas. Most of them are just inviting. That is a simple inner yajnas are available. In addition, Rig Vedas mostly praise. Rig is a verse that is a mantra in praise of Agni, Indra, all these devas. Then Krishna Yajurveda, it has 7 kandas. In first kanda, first, fourth, and 7th have mantras mainly. Second, third, fourth, fifth, and 6th have brahmanas. Second, third, 5 and 6 have brahmana mainly, and then mantras. So in the first kanda, there are 4 yajnas specified. First one is called Darsha Purnamasav. On the new moon day and full moon day, you are requested to invite Agni and Soma. It is mainly for Agni and Soma. It is called Agnishtoma Yajna, Darshaburnamasav, then Agnihotra, then Vajapeya, Rajasuya. So Darshaburnamasa, Agnishtoma, Vajapeya means, Peya means increase, Vaja means the felicities in us, Vajapeya, then Rajasuya is the coronation of kings. These 4 yajnas are prescribed is discussed in the Kanda 1 of Yajurveda. The 4th Kanda, 7 Prabhatakas, all of them is about Rudram, even though Namagam is in the 5th Prabhataka and Chamagam is the 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4 is to prepare our body. You cannot straight away chant, because when you chant the Namaga mantra, it is going to come up with so much energy onto you. So to receive that energy, the Veda repeatedly mentions that our body is like atapta tanu. Tanu means clay. Tapta means baked, heat. You see, if you want to make a clay pot, they first mold the clay and they make it in the form of a pot. Then they have to bake it in an oven. Then only it gets that hardens. So that is called a taptadanu. Our body is ataptadanu. Ataptadanu means it is not baked. So we must get into the divine aspects before we chant that. Those are all contained in the mantras in the Prabhatakas 1, 2, 3, 4. Then Namaga and then to hold on those energies is in the 6th Prabhataka, and the 7th one is Namaga. Then Khanda 7, there are Adhiratra yajnas are prescribed at night. Ratra means night and darkness. Adi means exceeding that darkness. So to get into more light to your body. So this Adhiratra, and there are 12-night Adhiratra famously was done twice in Kerala by a professor in Berkeley, and he has written a book about that and all that, and the benefits of that Adhiratra functions. Then these are the main yajnas that are prescribed. Now I shall discuss some of these yajnas later, but before discussing the yajnas, I want to now Vedic yajnas to our present day yajna. I will bring the transition also. Then I will describe the Vedic yajnas and the current yajnas. So let's go to from the Vedic yajnas. What are the transition? How we got into that currently? Just like the Brahmanas and Upanishads texts came out to understand what is in the Vedas for the common people, to simplify it in a manner to make them understand. And Brahmanas talked about the ritual aspects more, the yajna, how to conduct the yajna, what are the utensils to be used, what are the basics, what are the offerings to be made and all that. And Upanishads concentrated on the moksha aspect, even though Vedas do not mention about moksha. Veda talks about getting to immortality by rising in consciousness, by inviting the devas. Along with that, the Vedangas and Upangas. In very first chapter, we saw Vedangas and Upangas. Vedangas consisted of Shiksha, Chandas, Vyakarana, Nirukta, and Jyotisha and Kalpa. In the Kalpa, there were Shrauda Sutra, Smarta Sutra and Dharma Sutras, and in the Vedangas, there are Dharma Shastras. All of them, the Vedangas and the Upangas are the aids to study the Vedas. So that together was the Chaturdasha Vidyasthana, 4 Vedas, 6 Vedangas, and 4 Upangas. Now, the Kalpa that is discussing the chapter tables 3 and 4 and appendix 1, the Kalpa talks about Shauda Sutras and Grihya Sutras. And each of them prescribe, Shauda Sutras prescribe 7 Havir Yajna and 7 Soma Yajna. And maybe I'll try to see whether I can get to the share a screen. Let me see. Okay, so let's Kalpa. This is the table 3 discusses the Vedangas, and the 6th one is Kalpa. And Vedas do not provide details of how to do yajnas, how are rites to be performed, what are the mantras, what are the materials to be used. Kalpa, the 6th Anga Vedanga, a collection of books on Strauda Sutras, Grihya Sutras, and Dharma Sutras, provides the answers. And Strauda Sutras discuss 7 Havir Yajnas and 7 Soma Yajnas. And Grihya Sutras talk about Paga Yajnas. And what are they? So together, Strauda and Grihya Sutras together discuss 21 yajnas to be performed by most higher varnas, some of those daily and some once in a lifetime. And Dharma Sutras describe that. And Dharma Sutra, there are others who identified what are the items that we have to be careful to do that. And there are names Ashwalayana and Sankhayana, but at least those who do this Sandhyavandana will know, how would have heard about Avastamba Sutra, Baudhayana Sutra, Vaikanasa. Many of those sages have developed the sutras and condensed how we must be able to continue these Vedic yajnas into our daily life. The Dharma Shastras of Upanga are little bit more easier to follow, and that contain Manusmriti, Yajnavalkya Smriti, and Parasiddhi. So once, if we had gone undergone the Chaturdasha Vidyasthana, then we would have gotten some overview of the 4 Vedas. We would have gotten overview of the Vedangas, including Kalpa. We would have gotten the overview of the Upangas, including these Manusmriti, Yajnavalkya Smriti, etc. And Kalpa also discusses 40 samskaras, which include 21 yajnas. You see, the 16 Shodasha samskara is given in my book. So some of them more added to make it 19, and the 21 yajnas together became the 40 samskaras. So the 7 Havir yajnas and the 7 Soma yajnas is also called a Straudha yajna. Straudha means based on Shruti, and the 7 Paga yajnas. And I will describe what are the 7 Havir yajnas prescribed. Agnihotra, Dashavurna Masau, Agrena, Chadurmasya, Niruda Bashvanda, Sautramani, and Pinda Pidri Yajna. These 7 Havir yajnas and 7 Soma yajnas, Agnishtoma, Atyagnishtoma, Shodashi, Vajapaya, many of Adhiratra, and 7 Paga yajnas, Ashtaga, Stali Paga, Parvana, Parvana Shraddha. So these 21 yajnas, out of these 21, what is prescribed is Upasana and Agnihotra to be conducted daily. Both are connected with fire. And in fact, this after Upanayana or Diksha, one is supposed to perform Samidadanam. That is also invite Agni, and you put Samit, and you use some mantras to invite Agni. So develop the Agni power. As the Brahmachari, one does this Samidadanam. After Grihastha, one has to do the Upasana and Agnihotra. And the 5 Panchamaha Yajnas daily, Brahma Yajna, Deva Yajna, Manushi Yajna, Buddha Yajna. I will discuss the Pancha Yajnas later. Then Dashavurna Masa on the new moon day and the full moon day. Then Stali Bhaga, once every 15 days, the day after the new moon day and the full moon day, called the Prasama. Then Parvani Shraddha, it is prescribed to be done once a month, but we are doing once a year for departed. If one does not have father, then one has to do the Shraddha yearly once, even though it was prescribed once a month. Then the remaining 5 Paga Yajnas once a year, and the remaining 5 Havir Yajnas and the 7 Soma Yajnas once a year, or at least once in their lifetime. So all these is prescribed, but in addition to your Sandhyavandanam daily. But this Upasana, during marriage, there are 3 or 4 havans that we do. The 4th one is the Upasana. You have to take that Agni and keep it with you and continue the Upasana every day on that Agni. What happened on the day of marriage, we all have forgotten. But what Vedas says is the Upasana Agni happens at the time of marriage. The 4th Agni that you do, first time as husband and wife, after marriage that you do the Agni, the 4th Agni is called the Upasana Agni. That Agni you have to take and carry with you all through your life. Olden times, those who remember our great-grandfather time and all that, they always used to have Agni in their house, and that is the Upasana Agni. And Agnihotra are, these two are fairly easy to do, and that is why it is made to be daily yajnas. And Kalpa talks about 8 Atma Gunas. This is Samanya Gunas from Kalpa Sutras, in addition to the 40 samskaras, the Shodasha samskara that I have described in the book, starting with Garbhadana, then Pumsavana Simanta, then Jadaga for the baby, then Annaprasna, then Chaula, Upanayana. There are so many of these things. Of course, few of them are being performed by people even now. But the samskaras and the 8 Atma Gunas, this is very interesting for us to note. These are called Samanya Gunas. All Varnas must cultivate these 8. What are the 8? Daya, compassion; Shanti, patience and forgiveness; Anasuya, absence of jealousy, as in Atri's wife. Anasuya is a person who does not have any jealousy. So we must have absence of jealousy; Shaucha, cleanliness; Anayasa, feeling of lightness, taking things easy; Mangala, happiness with dignity and purity; Akarpanya, karpan means absence of miserliness; Aspriha, without desire of a grasping nature, try to grasp whether it belongs to you or not, avoid that nature. So these Atma Gunas, all 4 Varnas, that is why it is called Samanya Gunas. In addition, there are Vishesha Gunas for each Varna. Now, it is very interesting if you look at this Atma Guna. Manusmriti prescribes dharma for everybody. Manu's listing of dharma common to all persons: Ahimsa, Satya, truthfulness; Asteya, non-stealing or non-covetousness; Shaucha, cleanliness; and Indriya Nigraha. Now, if you look at the these gunas, the Samanya Gunas from Kalpa Sutras: Daya, compassion; patience and forgiveness; absence of jealousy; cleanliness; Anayasa, feeling of lightness, taking things easy; happiness with dignity and purity; Mangala, and all that. This is what Kalpa says all of us must possess. All Varnas must cultivate that. Manu says Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Shaucha, Indriya Nigraha. Don't harm anyone; truthfulness; non-stealing nature; cleanliness; subduing or completely eliminating senses or sense attractions, Indriya Nigraha. Now, if you look at the first 2 angas of Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, Yama and Niyama of Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, Yama says Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, and Aparigraha. Look at Manu's listing: Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya. These 3 are common with Patanjali's Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, whereas the 4th is Brahmacharya and Aparigraha. Manu describes Shaucha and Indriya Nigraha. So Manusmriti's dharma and the Yama of Ashtanga Yoga is the same, almost the same, and the Niyama of Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, Shaucha, Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. Then look at the Daivi Sambat of chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita. Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhi, Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti, Dhanam Dhamascha Swadhyaya, Tapa Arjava, then Ahimsa, Satyam, Akrodha. Every one of them, whether it is Kalpa Sutras, 8 Samanya Guna, or Manusmriti's Dharma, or Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, or the Daivi Sambat, all of them are very similar. Or if you talk about Bhagavad Gita's chapter 12, Adveshta Sarva Bhudanam Maitra Karuna Evaja Dharmamo Narayankara Samadaka Sugha Saki Sugha Kshami. Adveshta hates no creature. Sarva Bhudanam, do not hate anyone. Then Maitra Karuna Evaja. Karuna, this is Maitra, friendliness, Karuna, compassion. So every one of them, whether it is Bhagavad Gita's chapter 12, whether it is chapter 16, the Devi Sambat, or the Patanjali Yoga, or Manusdharma. So the emphasis on Ahimsa, Satyam, Asteya, Aparigraha, all these are all steps. What Veda also says, Satyam Sadayam, moving in that direction. So the goal, translating all these from Vedas to current things, is all helped by all these Dharma Sutras and Manusmritis, and even use the Vedas and all, using by our saints and acharyas have developed the transition from there. And while we are going to discuss, what is time 11? Okay, I have another 5 more minutes. So by the inner yajna and the outer yajna, I'll describe a few of these yajnas. Now we are running short of time. I wanted to talk about our samskaras and the basic characteristics that we have been asked to cultivate, both by Kalpa Sutra, by Manusmriti, by Bhagavad Gita's Devi Sambat, Ashtanga Yoga of Yama Niyama, of all of them talk the same thing. So as part of our divinization steps, we must revisit all these things. We can say that, oh, I didn't know, Kalpa Sutra, Kalpa has discussed 8 Atma Gunas, Samanya Gunas must be possessed, cultivated by all of them. Okay, if you didn't know Kalpa Sutra, fine. Hey, I didn't know, Manusmriti has said that. If you didn't know that, that's fine. But Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga is very well practiced by everybody. So the Yama and Niyama, that is why those first two steps of Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, if we practice, that will lead us into the divinization. These are all coming from the Vedic connection. So I'm trying to establish the connection of what we have to do as we move forward in the Satyam Tapastradayam and the Veda mantras together. So the Devi Sambat of chapter 16, or Adveshta Sarvabhudanam Maitra Karuna Evaja Nirmamo Narayankara Samadukka Sukha Kshami forbearance, Kshama, Sama Dukkha Sukha, equanimity under difficult times or happy times. Then Nirmamo Narayankara, no desire and no ego and all that. Maitra Karuna Evaja, compassion, which is the first one, that Daya, that 8 Atma Gunas. So all of them are emphasizing these characteristics to us. Now, from the yajna, how we are moving on forward, that is the next point I want to say, that present day invoking of the Deva is Japa. Well, where do we get the Japa and all that? Where do we get the basis for that? Again, we go to Bhagavad Gita. See, Vedas have established and stated the inner yajna, the mantras to communicate to the devas. Now, it may not be possible for all of us. You see, among the people also, if you take a class of 100, there are what they say, some nerds, some who want to do well, some who are average, some studies and some sports, and some so all type of interest and all that. That is why various options are given. So it may not be, inner yajna is not for everyone. Even outer yajna, it is very expensive. You have to hire priests and all that, may not be everyone. So they are all stages and stages. Our Abhasambha Sutra, Manusmriti, and Jaimini, and many of these other saints have laid down steps. And Bhagavad Gita is another good example of daily how to practice all these things. And what Bhagavad Gita says, the basis in the Vishwarupa, it says, Maharshinam Briguraham Giramasmi Ekamaksharam Yajnanam Jabayajnosmi Stavaranam Himalaya. That is one of the verse in Bhagavad Gita. Maharshinam Briguraham. Among Maharshis, I am Brigu. Giram Asmi Egaksharam. Giram, a word or speech, I am Egamaksharam, Om. The Om is, I am Om. Then Yajnanam Jabayajnosmi. So you do the Jaba. So from Yajna, from the inner Yajna, Rishis taught to their initiate disciples who became Rishis themselves. Then it became outer Yajna. And if you are not able to do inner Yajna or outer Yajna, then it says Yajnanam Jabayajnosmi. So you start Jaba. From Jaba, then you go to Puja. Puja, where you have a murti or idol or a photo, where you chant a few japa and do there are patterns for that, or you worship at a temple. So all these japa, puja of murti, shrines on photo, then you can energize these murtis or photos by prana pradishta. There are various techniques. Then worship at temples. And what happened to the Vedic devas? Even though Agni, Indra, Saraswati, Soma, Surya, all those devas with additional individual psychological powers, we must not forget the fact that Vedas, Rigveda also talks about Brahmanaspati. Ganana Antva Ganapadigam Havamahe Kavin Kavinam Upamasravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspati. So Ganapati is the Brahmanaspati. Brahma always has the meaning of Veda mantra. So Ganapati is the Pati of Brahma, Pati of mantras. So you can even see that Ganapati was writing down when Vedavyasa was narrating the stories or Vedas. So that you can see the connection for Ganapati there also. So Brahmanaspati, Rudra and Vishnu, there are mantras in it. They are all also devas in Rigveda. And they have come down as Ganapati, Shiva and Vishnu, and their relative parivaras. Similarly, goddess Lakshmi, Saraswati, Durga, and their children. So then suddenly it goes to Shaivism, Vaishnavism, then Sri Vidya Upasakas, Upasana. And there may be another, I'll take 2 more minutes and then close this and then take the questions. Then there is one more level. Even if all these things like japa, puja, worship at temple, if all these things you are not of that interested type person, then you can develop bhakti. Of course, when we ask what is bhakti, we may say, when we say what is bhakti, bhakti is devotion. What is devotion? Devotion is bhakti. So we go into a circular definition. No. If you don't know what a bhakti is, again, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, What is it? Mayeva mana adastva. My buddhim niveshaya. Nivishasis mayome ada urdham na samshaya. Bhakti Yoga, there is a chapter in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, mantra 8. Mayeva mana adastva. Mayeva, in me. Put your mind in me. My buddhim niveshya. You put your intellect also in me. Mayeva nivishasi ada urdhanasya. After all these tongues, when you leave this place and go, you will live in me. Mayeva nivishasi ada urdham na samsheha. There is no doubt. That is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. And of course, he also goes to say that Atachittam samadhudam na saknoshi. If you are not able to place your mind on me, that's also okay. We will find a way. By Abhyasa Yoga, try to reach me. That is the next verse, that one. And he says, Abhyasa Abhyasamartha. If you are not even able to do that, I will tell you, you just do these actions for me. And then he says, even if you are not able to do it for me, you just give up the fruits of all your actions. Tyaga. I'll discuss this a lot more. I'll take a few questions in today's class. Naga.
Hello. Good morning, Mama.
Yes. Tell me.
So we have few questions now. So the first one is from Meenakshi. It says, do you mean living in truth and falsehood, living in duality, the dichotomy? So probably it's referring to the Maya thing that you mentioned in the beginning.
No, no, we are living in truth and falsehood means even sometimes what we consider truth has falsehood mixed in it. That means we are not living in pure truth. Pure truth and pure welfare of everybody. Our mind is still trained to on a selfish basis. What is good for me? If you do not look out for you, who else will look out for you? So we are all gotten many of these things that are not ideal for a truthful living. Truth is public welfare is involved. Our Sanatana Dharma, the dharmic truth, is not only the truth as we see it, and that is where we again and again the seva aspects are coming and all that. So it is a much deeper aspect. So it is broadly included as we are living amongst the truth and falsehood. All the buhu, bua, so all these three has different levels of truth and different levels of falsehood. And depending upon the company in which we operate, we may be more into the truthful space versus falsehood space. That is what Veda means by that. You have got to be completely truthful 24/7. And every one of these as the additional test of manasa, vacha, karmana. Many actions we think, like for example, take the case of ahimsa. We think as long as I do not hit anybody, I don't beat up anybody, then I'm an ahimsa person. No, sir. For us to claim to be that I am practicing ahimsa, manasa, vacha, karmana, by mind, by word, or by action. So even in my mind, we may think, if I can lay my hands on, I will wring his neck. Outwardly, I may not hit him because I'm in violation of the law and I will have to pay penalties and all that. So I may not do the karmana part, I may do the ahimsa. But manasa and vacha, I'll talk bad about a person that I don't like. Or I will say, hey, if only I can get my hands on him, I will wring his neck or I will beat him up. So that is, all these also, that is himsa. Himsa by mind. Only thing is that you did not do himsa by karma. But himsa by mind is a manasa, vacha, karmana, the triple test we have to meet. So in truth, everything, Taittiriya says, when there is a slight gap between the manasa and the karmana, then that is called a falsehood. So what is in mind and what you have to, so it is a much deeper question, Meenakshi. I think I'll try to answer it a little bit more in the email. Next, Naga.
The next question is from Nand Kishore Kidkikar. So the supraphysical powers or devas created human beings, then how dasyus get into them?
Yeah, that is a good question. You see, all religions have, but other religions, especially Semitic religions, treated that as independent of. Like, for example, that in Christianity, at least my understanding of Christianity is Satan is a separate evil. He is not, whereas in the our Vedic concept, Tat Egam is supreme. The devas and dasyus. Dasyus may have been originally devas, and they found some devas found that cutting corners and not being truthful all the time, there are some benefits, and they went that way. Who created is difficult for me to answer, but why Tadegam lets the dasyus come out? Because Tadegam lets everybody do what they want. When it reaches a stage that the adharma has risen so much, then as he says, again quoting Bhagavad Gita, Yadayade dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Yadayadi dharmasya glanihi bhavati. Dharmasya glani, absence of dharma gets decreased, and abhyuttanam adharmasya, adharma is on the rise. Tadatmanam srijami. Then at that time I come out. Then he takes an avatar. So dasyus are Tadegam allows the dasyus. Whether he comes out and removes or by other actions he gets them removed, that is different. But dasyus are may have been originally devas, or they all came and they did not rise into the direction of deva. They proceeded, they found some advantages in becoming, and thus they became dasyus. Next one.
Okay. Mama, there are a couple of requests about sharing the yajnas, the slides on the yajnas.
I will continue a little bit more on this because I have not discussed those 5 yajnas. So I will go back. I want to re-emphasize certain aspects, and I want to take a little bit more time on the transition, and then how we can continue the today's yajnas by taking advantage of our understanding of the spirituality and wisdom that we understood from that, inviting how we can combine, or again making the baby steps and the increasing steps in the direction of the full divinization. Even if you don't accomplish all that in one step, taking smaller steps, those two will be in the next 2 lectures. We'll continue that. These are all by bringing all these, what is in our shastras and how we do the current practice, I'll try to put them together and find a path forward.
Well, question from Gaurav Nirmal. Are 6 sages in Krishna Yajurveda are considered rishis? Did they have these revealed? How did they get the answers for how to do the yajnas?
They have said that they are not considered as rishis. They are not considered as rishis. There are many sages like Jaimini, Purva Mimamsa, and the Abhasamba. They studied the sutras. They studied the Vedas as well and found out the equivalence of doing this way and getting the how to decipher out what is the like, for example, many yajnas are not explained anywhere, and the people who conducted over the ages, they have their own notes which they handed over to their disciples or to their shishyas, and it has been transmitted. Now, even now in the 1975, when this Professor Stahl, went to conduct this Adhiratra Yajna, 12-night Adhiratra Yajna, getting people who have the experience of doing and all that, because these are yajnas not conducted every year. The previous one may have been 50 years or so. Somebody who knew their disciple may be there. And he said he found out only 3 people who can lead the Adhiratra Yajna. And he himself in his book says that unless you preserve this will go away after when these 3 people go, just like when rishis went, that age disappeared. Unless we preserve whatever we now have, we may lose even this also. So it is very, very important. But this, they are not considered rishis. Abhasamba, Bodhayana, they may have very highly evolved persons, but still saints, highly knowledgeable and evolved persons who may have, like for example, our Paramacharya of Kanchi. He is not a rishi, or the Karanda Acharya of Sringeri. They are all very, very highly evolved persons, or maybe our own Ramana Maharshi or Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. If they have laid down some truths, following those truths are equivalent to as well as the Vedic commands explained to us by them. Okay, I think it is past time. Rest of them I will answer in the email questions, and I will close this with closing prayers. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Prityorma Amrdangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Santu Niramaya. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschit Dukkhabhag Bhaved. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay.